Hey everyone, this is the Average Joe, your friendly neighborhood jack of all fandoms. We're now going on 10 years since the start of the Star Wars Questionnaire, originally made famous by Versus Series forefathers Grey Jedi 91 and Gensarai 1. I've thrown my hat in the ring and answered the call myself, but recently a second questionnaire was put forward by the YouTube creator Dimon360_, and I think he was onto something. Let's see if we can't get people on the Star Wars train, because God knows Disney hasn't helped us do that. Question 1. What class of Jedi or Sith would you be? I have a difficult time choosing between classes, and it really comes down to my personality. My inner self is constantly at war for which part of me reigns supreme. My stronger protective side, like the Guardians, or my spiritual analytical side, the Consulars. I'm also relying on a lot of tech in day-to-day life, so an argument could also be made for the Sentinel class. On the dark side, I may end up as either a Sith warrior or a Sith sorcerer, for the same reasons as before. If you twisted my arm and forced me to pick, I'd personally strive to be a Jedi Consular. I'm trying to shed that more aggressive part of my personality and become more calm and collected. To be honest, this is part of the reason I wanted to be a Grey Jedi, though. Just reject the classic archetypes and blaze my own trail in the middle. Side note though, Enrico Chico Maliko's recent look back at the first questionnaire, he brought up the Jedi Shadows, who are essentially a more murder-happy version of Batman or Sensei Aizawa. Live in the dark, strike evil down before they realize you're doing it, and keep a low profile for the mystery and stealth. I think that's a really cool idea, and I think I'd work with them if given the chance. Question 2. Favorite droid? Personally, I like the droids with a bit more personality to them. K2SO, Proxy, Chopper, HK-47, IG-11, so on and so forth. Question 3. 3 favorite Force powers. If I were to use the Force, I would choose my favorite abilities based on how practical they are in day-to-day life. Like you say Force Lightning is an evil method of torture and execution, I say that I just became a fuel-efficient energy source. Who needs to pay the electric company for power when I can just do it myself? With that in mind, the 3 I like the most are Force Projection, Force Heal, and the Jedi Mind Trick. As much as I don't like the sequel trilogy, I admit that it was nice to see these 2 classic EU powers translated to the big screen. I wish there was a better movie to go with them, but there's only so much you can ask for, I guess. But back to my original point, if I could get in the habit of using Force Projection, I'd probably never leave my house again. And in case you're wondering, yes, I have very much enjoyed my time in solitude with the COVID shutdown. With Force Heal, you'll never see me at a doctor's office or spending a dime on health insurance again. And the Mind Trick is always a classic that I really wish I could use to deal with people in day-to-day life. Then again, maybe I can. You will subscribe to my channel, you will leave a comment below, and you will watch more of my videos when this one is finished. Did it work? Question 4. Who would your apprentice be? This is a very interesting question. When you're talking about which master you want to serve under, you're saying who you think you could learn the most from. With this one, you're asking who you think could learn the most from you. Personally, if I were an adult in my prime, I think I could have been a much better mentor to Anakin than Obi-Wan. Annie needed someone who could encourage his talent without letting it get to his head. Someone who could show him how to properly channel his emotions and feelings and not just turn it off. Like a light switch. 20-something Kenobi just didn't know how to do that. Another I think I could work well with is Kanan Jarrus. Eventually I plan to make a video on why I think he's underrated, and if the Jedi Purge hadn't happened, he might have been one of the best Jedi in the Order's history. Not that I'm personally saying I could just put him on that level myself, but if he had someone to finish his training instead of just leaving him alone to figure it out once he was the master, sky's the limit for what he can do. Question 5. Favorite Star Wars novel? There are plenty of really good Star Wars books, but I think I'll always have a soft spot for the Darth Plagueis novel, just because of how much it expands on the rule of 2 Sith. It also brought so many other elements from other pieces of the franchise together, it was the first time that it felt like a real living history to me. I know that the Bane trilogy and Thrawn and KOTOR all do this too, but This is the first book that I got my hands on back in the day, because it was the only one that was available to me in my local library. I guess that kind of dates me, just the fact that I go to a library. My, how times change. Question 6. Least favorite Star Wars novel. Just like there are a lot of really great Star Wars novels, there are also plenty of bad ones. But I think Dark Disciple made me angrier just because Quinlan Voss's characterization was already one of my biggest problems with DCW. But that one problem, they amplified to a level of bad I didn't even know was possible. Not to argue with the author, however. She was just doing the story they told her to do, and for what it's worth, her writing style's just fine. Question 7. Top 3 favorite characters of all time. It's tricky, but I think my top 3 at this exact moment are Jyn, Vader, and Ahsoka. You know, considering how her character started, the fact that she just beat out about a dozen other Legends characters on my list is honestly surprising to me. That's really strong writing on the Clone Wars' part. Qui-Gon, I know, is a lot of other people's favorite Jedi because of Liam Neeson's performance, but I do really like the character's philosophy. This is what a Jedi should aspire to be. As for Vader, I'm finding that as I get older, I can appreciate more and more of the thought that George put into his fall from grace. Don't believe what the internet or the purists tell you. Just because it's not what you wanted to see doesn't mean it can't stand on its own merits. That's the edge that the prequels have over the sequels. When you strip it from the "I just wanted to see something different" argument, it's still a good movie. Vader also got the best lines in the original trilogy, and his dry wit always gets me.
Apology accepted, Captain Nida.
I do also think that the Mandalorian could be an interesting character, but he's gonna need a bit more time before I start ranking him too high up. Question 8. Top 3 least favorite characters of all time. Okay, obvious picks for obvious reasons. Rey, Finn, Rose. I don't think we can blame Ridley, Boyega, or Tran for this. It's not their fault the characters were boring and poorly written from the beginning. Yeah, I said beginning. Force Awakens had its share of flaws too. Question 9. What would you do with Star Wars if you were the head of LucasFilm? Well, that depends. Do you mean if I was in charge right now, or if I was in charge immediately after George hung up the cape? If I were in charge then, well, I do at least have part of a sequel trilogy rewrite buried somewhere in my archives. Eventually I'll get around to talking about it on this channel. But if I were dropped in today, I'd announce that Legends and Canon are both getting continuations. Then I'd bring in writers to work on both as separate continuities. Maybe some crossovers here and there. I get it, there's fans of both. Try to keep everybody happy if we possibly can. Question 10. How do you feel about Star Wars today? Oh boy, where to start. Just stating the obvious here, we are in kind of a bad place. Rebels was solid, the end of Clone Wars was fine, Mandalorian I will give you credit for. The first season was arguably the best piece of Star Wars media we've seen since the original 6. Maybe even the original 3. But dear lord, the rest of the canon's falling apart fast. Even Filoni, who I've been rooting for this entire time, has recently admitted he has no clue what he's supposed to do with the franchise now. You really think the Bad Batch and the High Republic are going to solve anything? Especially when the HR team has actively put diversity over character and storytelling? But at the same time, I've stayed with this franchise so long and it's affected me in so many ways. I don't want to abandon ship and just let it die like so many others are trying to do right now. I want to stay by its side. Keep hope alive that it'll survive this. And really, I guess that's what Star Wars has been trying to teach us all along. Your focus determines your reality. And if I can jump franchises for a moment, General Iroh had a quote that really gets this principle home. If you only search for the dark, that's all you'll see. Look for the light, and, well, who knows? Thanks again to Dimon for putting these questions together. Answer the questions yourself in the comments below, or make a video response of your own. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace!